Gotta love shooting gun and back it. Love twisted and I think don't you grab it.
Welcome to Lobster Magnets Review, the channel. We are here to talk about Attack on Titan, Chapter 105. So, it's been confirmed! Eldian Deep State reveal! This chapter took on a very surprising turn that I thought it was just basically going to be an escape, but we had two very surprising things. Number one, Gabby and whatever the other guy's name is, using the grappling hook to get into the blimp as the Survey Corps tries to escape. Number two, the big reveal that apparently Zeke was in on everything, that everything we saw was just a ploy, and that he was serving as a secret double agent for, you know, good old Paradise Island and the Eldians. And that really caught me by surprise. Like, on one hand, I was, like, disappointed at the idea that, like, Zeke would be taken out of it, but apparently those Yeager boys are a little bit closer than we thought. So we have a reunion, and we learn that Zeke is apparently working with the Eldians, his Eldian people, and is actually, like, some sort of deep sleeper agent, so that kind of completely caught me off surprise. Or, you know, you just have Zeke just sitting there with all four of his limbs chopped off, and he's just chilling out, and he's completely a part of it. And Gabby's little brainwashed mind is completely blown, as, you know, she's like, I'm gonna continue the will of War Chief Zeke! I'm gonna continue it for the sake of creating Eldians and showing that we're good people and they're good Eldians! And now she knows that, like, you know, everything she believed was kind of a lie. And it's a much different character arc than I was expecting. I thought that, you know, she was going to get, like, Rainer's Armored Titan, and then her and the other, you know, warrior candidates were going to, like, face off against Eren and co. on Paradise Island in some big climactic final battle. But apparently Ishiyama has very, very different ideas of what he wants to do with Gabby. And apparently he wants to put her in conflict with Eren a little bit earlier, but without Titan powers. But apparently this was all planned, and, you know, honestly, no matter how you look at it, it is depressing as hell. Everything is super depressing. Now, the reason why I say that everything is super depressing is the fact that we sort of see, like, the Survey Corps, you know, celebrating the victory of Eldia. You know, oh, this is the first attack of the new Eldian nation! And it seems like the sort of greater themes of Ishiyama striking, discussing how the rise of nationalism just leads to horrible, awful pain and destruction. Because we have the Marleyan, who are basically Nazis. Now we have the Eldian terrorists, who basically committed mass genocide, murdered women and children and civilians, and they're all celebrating, yeah, this is the rise of Eldia. And we know that, like, the Eldian Empire in its glory days, we don't know the full true story, but we know enough from Mr. Kruger that, like, it wasn't all peaches and cream. The Eldians did, like, use pure Titans as weapons of mass destruction, and that's why everyone hates them. And King Fritz was so dismayed by the destruction wrought by the warring Eldian factions that he said, fuck it, I'm gonna remove myself from the world and isolate myself so we can't hurt anyone else, and we're gonna just hide behind these walls with my descendants, wipe out their memories, leave them isolated, while the rest of the Eldians suffer. So basically we have this long-standing historical conflict where Eldia subjugated everyone and forced them to be eaten by Titans. They were generally a largely oppressive force. They are bad. They were not nice people. And then we have Marley capitulating that oppression on Eldians by treating them like the Jews were treated in Nazi Germany. And now we have the Eldians rising again and committing mass genocide against their oppressors in this never-ending cycle of nationalistic violence. And we see that cycle of nationalistic violence take root with the death of Sascha. And, like, you know, a lot of people are going to be really sad to see Potato Girl die. Me, personally, I'm happy because Attack on Titan has always been kind of like an edgy series. But that edge has been sheened off by the fact that, like, you know, there's a lot of supporting cast members. You know, we've got Connie, Sascha, Jean. You know, there's a lot of people in that 104th Cadet Corps that we don't necessarily need. They're kind of extraneous. There are a few other characters I'm probably forgetting about, but, you know, it gives you an idea. There are plenty of characters to kill. And they've largely managed to survive against most predictable means. So for Ishiyama to finally draw out the blade and kill one, you know, to sort of show the greater stakes of what this nationalistic conflict comes, how, you know, the Eldians getting their revenge will ultimately just lead to self-destruction, goes to show this sort of bitter cup of never-ending revenge and violence and destruction and sadness and bitterness that will never see an end, and it's super depressing. You know, that Eren has to live with the responsibility of understanding that he caused Sascha's death through his impulsive actions. And we're further confirmed by the fact that, like, that Eren acted independently. He was not endorsed by the Survey Corps or anyone else, that he went on his own and kind of forced them. And, you know, there's a really sad, disheartening line, you know, you trusted in us, and we lost all our trust in you. That Eren basically went on his own, sent letters back, and I guess in a way he was certainly right about, like, you know, Marley planning actions against good old Waldians, but at the same time, you know, his revenge led to the slaughter of, you know, hundreds of thousands, and basically has put the entire world against the good old Waldians. The real interesting thing is, where does Zeke fit into all of this? What is Zeke's role? How, like, was he actually, like, an Eldian sleeper agent this entire time when his father sent him in? Because the narrative we got was that Zeke was sent in by his father to become a warrior candidate, Rishna, and then he turns in the Eldian resistance. Was that all part of his plan in terms of, like, gaining loyalty for his long con? Or was he actually, you know, non-brainwashed and switched sides after, like, seeing the insides of the Marleyan military and how Eldia is, you know, poorly treated? What made Zeke turn sides? Was it something that happened during the time jump that sort of, like, made him convert? But that's the question that interests me more than anything else. You know, I love the idea that, like, you know, Zeke was actually secretly working towards the Eldian restoration, and now we're gonna actually get Eren and his half-brother to sort of have this weird team-up as they plan for whatever the future may hold, and as we go towards whatever the final arc is going to be. But, you know, all I can say is that we are on the train to Depression Town, and things are only going to get sadder and darker from here on out. But, you know, this is probably the most exciting story-wise twist we've seen in the series. Even if this chapter wasn't, you know, as action-packed or as cool as, like, the stuff we were seeing previously. The idea of, you know, the Grishna brothers, Eren and Zeke Yeager, or no, the Yeager brothers, teaming up in some sort of weird, you know, crossover where they are fighting against the world, Attack Titan, Beast Titan, side by side, is really cool, and I can't wait to learn more about Zeke and what his overall plans are within this giant conspiracy that he's been, like, working on the side that we had no way of knowing. So that twist alone gives this chapter an 8.5 for me. While not the most action-based chapter, and it leaves larger questions in terms of what Gabby's going to do. Is she going to be taken to the Waldians and learn the true history? Or is she going to, like, somehow escape from the vessel and, you know, join up with Marley? That would be the more the story course that would make the most sense to me, to see Gabby, like, you know, go and become an oppositional force, entrenched in her hatred for Eren and everything he's cost her and made her lose. But, you know, it seems like, there's a chance that she might make it all over the sea and back to Madagascar, where all the Waldians are living, and learn the true history of this world, and sort of learn about Eren and, you know, her culture and people, versus the sort of self-hating Jew version that we have right now. So very, very interesting stuff. I didn't see any of this coming, and I'm very intrigued about where it's going, because I have no idea. I have some vague ideas, but it seems like a huge wrecking ball has been thrown at my assumptions in terms of what Ishiyama had planned. But then again, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. He basically flipped the script with his Marley reveal, and gave us something, an explanation for the Titans and the true history of the world that nobody could have predicted or seen coming. So maybe something, you know, this far out of left field should be commonplace. Who knows? Maybe by the end of the series we'll learn the Titans are actually aliens that came from hundreds of thousands of years, and that's where, like, you know, the power of Ymir and the power of gods came from. You know, he's crossed so many other goddamn genres at this point that I wouldn't be surprised if he, like, does it a third time, you know, in the final leg of the series. But this has been exciting, and yeah, I can't wait to see how the world reacts to this when it gets animated in 2020, because it's going to be a while before we see any of this. But, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think now that the Eldian Deep state has been revealed, that everything you knew was a lie? Are you happy to see Zeke's heel turn? Are you excited to see what the Yeager brothers can do once they're combined? You know, that's what we need. We need, oh my god, this is what I want to see. I want to see some Pacific Rim fan art of Eren and Zeke, like in like Yeager suits, and they're both like controlling like a you know, Yeager mech of, like, you know, the Attack Titan merged with the Beast Titan, or maybe it's like just a giant mechanical version of the Beast Titan. People, artists of the world of Tumblr, make that happen now, because I want to see that. That would be too perfect. If I had artwork, I would go do that, and I don't want to pay money to, like, make that happen either. I just want to see it happen. But anyway, yeah, I would love to see a whole fan comic about Zeke and Eren learning to drift together so they can control a bioorganic Titan. Although, you know, I think the whatever goodwill of Pacific Rim has kind of been drained away by that second movie, which wasn't great. I enjoyed it, but I don't think many other people did, and I don't think we're going to get a third movie. But, you know, if the Yeagers are going to live on, it'll have to be through this. So those are my thoughts on Attack on Titan Chapter 103. Let me know what you thought. And remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it.